What's going on today, guys? Primal Sabbath here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the X-Transbots G2 Masterpiece Deadend, or Deathwish. So it comes with this polybag wrap, and real quick, here's the box. Very similar to Wild Rider and Drag Strip. It's actually its own box. Now, something that I guess that's kind of in, well, right, real quick, here's the bag. So we also get the G2 tech specs there, which I think is pretty cool. Now, what's really strange, and I understand it's like, I guess, supposed to be the order in which they were released, but like with the card art homaging so much of the G2 card art, like Deathwish is B3, which he should have been, I guess, what this says S3, but like here's the breakdown card art, which was S3, and I think that I don't know, Deadend should have been S2. So you know, a little bit of a fail there, I guess, but I mean, who cares, right? Like the breakdown didn't even have its own like special box. It was just a sticker over the G1 breakdown box, just like all the other ones. It's a foam insert in there. No special alternate face or anything like that. So let's just get right on into it. So what G2 did with Deadend here was they took a red car and they turned it into a red car. Now, I can't remember what kind of car it is. I think it's like a Ferrari or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know my my G1 stuff all that well. It's all right at rolling, I guess. Some stuff likes to kind of pop out and pop open. Very similar. Like, it seems like Drag Strip was really the only one of these that fit together very well. But really, you know, what are you gonna do? I like the rubber tires, the painted rims, and all that other stuff. You also get some real cool stuff like the reflectors here, painted on both front and back fenders. You get your little reverse lights painted in white there, as well as the blinker, and I guess the brake light is what it is. I'm not too sure. Now, I know that that the regular like G1 Deadend had light up headlights. I don't know if this one does. Honestly, I didn't really check the instructions for it, but I guess I could probably try to take it apart and maybe see if it does. It's not really something that's for me. It's neat and all, but you know, okay, yeah, it's got the little switch under here. So, but obviously there's no batteries in it. So there's that. I do like that they put the kind of decal up here on the hood of the car, which they also did for Wild Rider, which we have here. And they even did it with Drag Strip's spoiler, which we see there. It's just a pity that, let's get this up, that they didn't do the same for Breakdown. They just kind of left him bland, and his colors really don't match all that much either. But I guess there's a reason they didn't do it for Breakdown. As you can see, got a little paint chip there. But what are you going to do? I mean, like, fortunately, the Breakdown's still easy to find, and it's been out for a little over a year, so I guess push comes to shove and I need to get a replacement. I can, but just for the sake of vehicle mode comparison here they all are together. And I think they look pretty sharp, all things considered. I can respect the I can respect the translucent windows and stuff like that, but like, I feel like at this point in the game, do we really even need that on Masterpiece? Because like, you can see through all of them. It's just robot junk under them. Couple, you know, there's a head there. Really and truly, Drag Strip cleans up the nicest out of all of them, hands down, in my opinion. So there is that. Despite Breakdown, I still think being kind of my favorite. Like, if I only had to get one of these, it'd probably still be the Breakdown. It's not the best. All of these guys kind of have their own individual flaws. It's mostly getting kind of everything pegged back in for transformation and getting everything kind of like squared away, I guess, in both modes. There's some little tabs here and there. Fortunately, I mean, I haven't had any breakages on any of these. It's just, you know, it is what it is, but it's not awful. So there is that. But that's the comparison. And I left all their guns on them, just because I feel like that's kind of a G2 thing. Obviously, you can slide this one out. Unlike the others, this one doesn't rotate or fold up or anything, so there's that, but you get a little gap back there, but really neat. They even went and painted the exhaust ports down here, which I think is pretty cool. But other than that, I really hope that that repro labels maybe will come along with a sticker sheet just to give these guys their proper G2 insignias. I think that would be really cool, and Deadend is no exception to me thinking that would be really cool for. But as you can see underneath, cleans up pretty nice. The colors I think are well enough and spot on. I do have the Combiner Wars one, but it's not in a place of easily comparing. So I'm going to go ahead and get this guy and the rest into robot mode. We're going to take a look at him from there, and then I guess we're going to wrap this up. Alright, so here we have G2 Deadend in his robot mode, and real quick, like just at a glance, not too terrible. I really like the way, and of course I know I didn't show the transformation, but there's a ton of videos out there that will show it, or have shown it on the G1 version, maybe the G2 version, I don't know. But it probably the most simple out of the four that we've seen so far, and it's something that I appreciate, especially for like masterpiece combiners. I don't feel like they need to be too overly engineered. That said, he does feel a little over engineered. You know, the way everything kind of like so this guy really does kind of take all the tips and tricks that the other three Limbots have done so far. And I feel like he kind of uses a little bit of all of them. Like the way the arms collapse up is very similar to how Breakdown's arms collapse, and he uses, like, it utilizes, you know, that sliding pieces on a pin trick, which you can see on the inside there. Like, you know, this piece is cut short for a reason, so it can slide back whenever you're putting everything into vehicle mode. That I think is cool. I think maybe, and then again, you can see these red pieces right here. They slide along this pin. I like the idea of utilizing pins and gaps in pins to work with transformation. I think that's something where they used to use hinges and swivels and universals for that, and now it's like, you know, let's just use all these varying you know, points of connection to our advantage, and I think that's a pretty cool thing. Okay, so like real quick, and I don't want to take like I don't want to be like super vain and be like, I found this out, because I don't know if anyone else has found it out prior to, but you know, seeing the combined mode of the Minosaurs at TFCon DC, I was like, man, how in the hell is Deadend and Dragstrip, like, they have to split in half? And I just kind of saw where he had a little button right here, and you just press that button in, and this separates. And I believe this button is easily accessible in vehicle mode. And I was just like, well, I couldn't find it on Dragstrip, and then lo and behold, all I had to do was look, and you just kind of, let's get his stuff out of the way. You kind of press that in, and Dragstrip separates too. I think this is cool. I think this is an acceptable method for combiners, for getting masterpiece style combiners to separate, so you can use that. Now, you know, obviously, like the Motormaster utilizes like some kind of extra bulky parts that are made up from the trailer and all that. But I still think this is awesome, because I mean, you know, they very clearly are cars that split in half, and you're not really relegated to being forced to use these, you know, to add in any more unnecessary engineering to make them kind of work with, you know, the way the elbow should bend with how the cars peg onto the arm. I think that's awesome. That's really cool. I commend them for that. But anyways, let's kind of talk about the paint. Again, like the others, he's got the chest details, but it just looks so bland without any faction symbol or anything like that. That said, I'm pretty sure, like, it's crazy how the one that got released that has like the most versions of that toy out there is the least accurate. But the ones with like as fewer versions of these toys that are out there are like, they are the most accurate. But you know, whatever. So the head is okay. I guess it's Deadend's head. I mean, it's not really here nor there for me. He cleans up really nice. It's not overly skinny. I feel like the backpack is acceptable. Although, like, if you kind of take this backpack away, he does get a little thin, but it's not really going to be in that kind of a you know, position on my shelf. And honestly, I think after I combine these guys for the Minosaur in the review, I think I'm just going to decombine them and leave them kind of as a squad My Combiner Wars one I kind of have in combined mode, so I think it'd be neat to have these just sort of individual. He's got, I don't know, that's probably not picking up, squeaky joints. And like it gets a little tight into here, and that's kind of uncomfortable, especially like, you know, given X-Transbots record and all that. So he does have that, and dude squeaks all over the place. But it doesn't feel like it's getting caught up on anything, but it is something to kind of be wary about, as all squeaky joints are. He can take his gun, and it can not so greatly peg into his hand. Oh, this I don't think is a good fit. Yeah, it doesn't really peg in super well, but he can hold it. It's tight once you kind of get it in there at a weird angle. So there's that. Now let's compare him with the rest. So here's Breakdown, which my Breakdown, and like you can see, he's, you know, the Breakdown actually has a little bit of height on him. I like that. I like that they're all kind of varying. Well, they're not really. Breakdown isn't too terribly high. I guess it's more or less his kibble. Well, okay, they're about the same. They're all about the same size, and that's fine. So Breakdown, Dragstrip, and Wild Rider in here. Breakdown's definitely my favorite. Breakdown is definitely the loosest for me. Granted, it's not causing any stability issues, so I'm fine with it. You know, the knee, maybe it's this knee, is a little loose, but nothing to really be too crazy scared about. These heavy die-cast feet, but again, the stability is there. He's not falling over. I can't fault him for that. Wild Rider, the just blandest one, I think. He's fine. Dragstrip, with all of his crazy little moving pieces and tiny, potentially breakable parts, I'm talking about these, those are fine. But as a unit, as a G2 group, I really like the way these guys look. And now, had the original G2 Stunticons never been canceled, you know, I probably wouldn't care about them. Just being 100% with you, I probably would have just like passed on this altogether, you know, because like the Breakdown wouldn't have been as, you know, as important, I would say, or, you know, and neither would any of these other ones. But needless to say, this is really cool, and I believe they're all about the scale of like a Masterpiece Carbot in robot mode. Something like I think they're like the same size as like Sideswipe and Hot Rod. My Hot Rod isn't easily accessible, so you'll kind of have to forgive me. I don't really have much within reason to show them to scale, but there's a Transmetal Optimus Primal, so you can kind of see what you're going to be working with these guys. But you know, the Deadend, the transformation is a little clunky. There's some aspects to it I don't like, on top of the ones that I do like. He's got the most squeaks out of all of them. That said, I don't think any of them have the squeaks. He maybe relies a little too heavily on those sliding pin transformation joint elements. That said, I'm cool with those. Like, I like those. I like that as a deal, but maybe they could have, I don't know, mixed it up a little bit. The colors are nice. I feel like it's accurate, so that's a huge plus. And now it's just the long wait for Motormaster, which I'm okay with. You know, these guys have all kind of clocked in at like, I think 80 and 90 and 70 and whatever else a piece, and I'm good paying that for these. They all have the rubber tires, and you know, they feel like kind of like the older maybe MP10, MP12 era of masterpieces, which isn't a bad thing. It's a good thing. And this new era definitely isn't a bad thing. We're getting a lot of great masterpieces out of this new era, and it feels like this is just some concepts that maybe weren't used for Takara Tomy. Which, again, I kind of like that. I like that these kind of stand out on their own. And while they do copy some elements from the Takara Masterpiece line, they also have several of their own elements. Again, it's something that I like and that I enjoy about this. So, there for me, if the G1 version, if you're looking at getting a G1 set of Stunticons so far with these four, I enjoy them. Scale is irrelevant because it's G1 stuff, and I don't have a whole lot of Masterpiece G1 or G2 stuff, but I feel like these guys are probably the right scale, despite like Fans Toys being the actual correct scale. So yeah. But anyways, if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave a comment, if you can at this point. Well, you should be able to. It's not January 1st yet. But anyways, if you have any questions or comments, let me know. Send me a message on something. My social medias are all out there. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.